I recently had to find out that I was fooled for my whole life. I was brought up as a Jehovas Witness, and I truly believed it, and I dedicated a lot of time into this. I think I can say that I applied critical thinking to probably all other areas of my life. I mean, I studied IT and economics and got a lower degree. I had a pretty decent job in one of the world's biggest companies. And I kept myself busy in that job. I worked a lot. And I think there I kind of numbed myself out. But then I became father and I decided to take some time out. And then there were various trigger events. When our child was around 1 year old, a scene made me think, am I really convinced? Aren't we kind of brainwashing our child? Aren't we kind of indoctrinating it? And then I learned about the Australia Royal Commission. And I couldn't believe what I learned. And I also had a long conversation while I was out preaching with a pretty intelligent man. And I said some incredibly stupid things. And I started to realize that. For example, I mean, we talked about the origin of the universe and evolution and abiogenesis and things like that. And I call Dawkins a polemicist without having read a single book of this man. So to Professor Dawkins, if you will ever hear this, and I doubt you will, but anyways, I have to apologize for this. After having read 2 of your books so far, I have to say that I really enjoy following your lines of thought and that I appreciate what I can learn from your writings. Anyways, after these trigger events, I started to do some research. I started with a list of open questions I maintained for personal studies, but that did not deliver the desired results, so I had to dig right to the core, and so did I. I decided to challenge and reaffirm myself of the very core beliefs that I thought I held. Maybe in a later video I will share some of the results of my research, but today I will remain just listing them. I started with 1914, which is maybe a teaching Jehovas Witnesses are well known for. I digged into Christ's invisible presence, which supposedly started then. I dug into Christ's role for humanity as a mediator, or what Jehovah's Witnesses think that means. That led me to the 2-class teaching with so-called anointed Christians, which are only 144,000, and the other sheep. And last but not least, the faithful and discreet slave. After this, I had enough. I had a countless number of handwritten pages and almost 100 pages of research done with Microsoft Word, which included countless quotes. Well, I basically teared apart articles from different JW sources. Doing all this, it became quite clear to me that the JW or Jehovah's Witness religion is certainly not built on a solid biblical basis. To the contrary, they are often in direct conflict with what the Bible says, and then try to explain this away in incredibly ridiculous and self-contradicting ways. At the end of the day, they try to justify the teachings of their spiritual elite called the governing body. If you ask a Jehovah's Witness, they would heavily resist the claim that they are commanded from the top down. They will probably say that they only follow Jehovah and his word, the Bible. The thing is that the group at the top, the governing body, and only those people are capable of interpreting the Bible properly or in the correct way or manner. So they do have the power to command anything they want, as long as they find a Bible verse that they can twist to support it. And most witnesses, well, at least me, never check the context of the verse that they provide and think for themselves. Thinking for yourself is, of course, a sign of pride, and independent thinking is of Satan. So at least in your spiritual and moral worldview, the thinking is done for you. Luckily, only one of my parents is into this religion, and the other encouraged me to at least obtain a bachelor's degree, and so I did. Otherwise, I would maybe sit here talking to you without any good education. And I did that even though I faced quite some opposition from the JW community, because higher education is of course never directly prohibited in the literature, but you're heavily discouraged from it. A saying that we have in our country, and I don't know if that translates well, but they ask, whom would want to become captain on Satan's sinking ship? Well, now I am here to find out that it's maybe a sinking ship, but it's definitely a thinking ship. And I was able, for my whole life so far, to not think critically when it comes to religion, morals, and spirituality. When you make that discovery at an age well into your adulthood, this will floor you pretty much. At least it floored me, trust me. I don't want to play down for younger people, don't get me wrong. But I think it gets worse the older you get. The older you are, the more opportunities you gave them and the more time they had the opportunity to steal from you. So here I am now, forced to rebuild my worldview. I have to doubt everything I once believed in order to be able to trust myself in future. What points of view do I really hold? What has just been indoctrinated to me? So, I want to offer you the opportunity to accompany me on my journey into the future. This is quite fresh. All the discoveries were made in the last 6 to 9 months. As of today, my bookshelf is empty, and I'm gonna fill it. You wanna join me?